The days of scoring a powerhouse phone on a moderate budget are over. Today, a mid-range budget barely gets you entry-level hardware. 2 years ago, 35,000 rupees bought you a near flagship experience. Look at the market right now, and that exact same budget forces you to settle for cheaper displays, limited memory, and slower processing speeds. This chart shows the average entry price for a true flagship phone over the last 2 years. If you want top-tier performance in 2026, that baseline has crossed the 1 lakh threshold. Two macroeconomic forces are driving this. First, the global pivot toward AI. Every tech giant is currently hoarding silicon to build out their AI infrastructure, creating severe global chip shortages. When silicon supply dries up, the cost of core components like memory and processors spikes. These inflated manufacturing costs are passed directly to you. Then we add the India-specific penalty, the depreciation of the rupee. Over the last year, the rupee's value has dropped by roughly 10 to 12%. Since manufacturers import nearly all of these core components to assemble phones locally, that currency gap forces them to charge higher retail prices just to break even. Insisting on a brand new boxed flagship right now means you are paying a massive premium fueled purely by inflation, right before absorbing the absolute steepest curve of the phone's depreciation. This brings us to the pre-owned market. It is currently the most effective way to secure premium hardware without absorbing that 2026 inflation tax. The math is straightforward. You can secure a 1 to 2 year old ultra-premium device for the exact same price as a brand new current year mid-range plastic phone. But you are justified in being skeptical. The phrase used phone brings up valid fears, like dangerously swollen internal batteries, hidden structural water damage, or sudden catastrophic hardware failure. To navigate this safely, you have to shift your mindset. You can no longer buy like a passive consumer. You have to operate like an auditor. Trading the certainty of a sealed box for a rigorous vetting process results in massive financial leverage, saving 50% on top-tier technology. Let's break down your options. The pre-owned space splits into 3 tiers: corporate refurbished, peer-to-peer secondhand, and gray market. We'll start with the gray market, often seen on social media, offering seemingly impossible deals on box-packed folding phones for half their retail price. The catch is their origin. These devices are largely excess inventory imported off the books from places like Dubai or China. Because they are built for entirely different regions, they often lack support for Indian 5G bands. You are left with a device running untrustworthy foreign firmware, incompatible local apps, and zero legal warranty. Then there is the peer-to-peer market, meeting up with a stranger from OLX or Facebook Marketplace. Going direct means you inherit 100% of the risk. If you hand over cash and discover internal corrosion or a blacklisted IMEI 2 weeks later, you have no recourse and no refund policy. Unregulated sellers will always offer the lowest upfront prices, but they require you to accept catastrophic operational risk in return. The optimized path is the corporate refurbished sector, platforms like Cashify, Amazon Renewed, or Flipkart. These platforms establish an institutional safety net. They pair lower prices with formal quality testing, certification, and crucially, 3 to 6 month return warranties that protect you from immediate hardware failure. The trick to maximizing your value here is decoding their grading system, typically divided into Grade A+, Grade A, and Grade B. Grade A+ is essentially like new. These are usually devices returned within 10 to 15 days of purchase. You get flawless screens and battery health typically sitting above 95%. Grade B devices sit at the lower end. They carry visible cosmetic scratches on the frame or back panel and generally launch with a lower baseline battery health. Here is the strict rule to follow. If you are shopping for a mid-range phone, only buy Grade A+. Saving a couple of thousand rupees on a Grade B mid-range device is a poor decision compared to the physical wear and tear you inherit. But if you are targeting an ultra flagship, the math flips. Dropping down to Grade A or B is highly acceptable because a 20% discount on a premium device translates into massive absolute cash savings. A phone that originally launched at 1 lakh can drop cleanly into the 50 to 60,000 rupee bracket, simply because it has a few micro scratches on the casing. Choosing a corporate refurbished unit trades a minor amount of cosmetic perfection for guaranteed peace of mind and thousands of rupees kept safely in your bank account. Let's lock in your exact purchasing strategy based directly on your available budget. If your budget easily exceeds 1.5 lakhs and you demand absolute zero-risk ownership, skip the pre-owned market entirely. Your logical choice is a brand new, sealed device straight from the manufacturer. But if your budget is tightly capped between 50 and 70,000 rupees, the refurbished route is your optimal strategy. Instead of settling for a current year mid-range phone built from plastic with average processing power, you step up to elite build quality, superior telephoto lenses, and heavy-duty performance for the exact same price. Navigating the refurbished market is what ultimately determines the level of hardware you carry, regardless of your starting budget. To execute this strategy safely, we use this non-negotiable vetting scorecard before handing over any money. First, verify the IMEI. Confirm immediately that the device is legally listed and hasn't been blocked by network carriers. Second, check the software lifecycle. Buying a 2-year-old mid-range phone that has already stopped receiving security patches is a fatal flaw. You need hardware that still has a runway of active support. Third, confirm the exact battery health. The listing must explicitly state a battery capacity of 85% or higher, otherwise the phone will not survive a full workday. Finally, the absolute walkaway rule. If a seller hides the battery metric or refuses to provide a minimum 3-month warranty, the deal is instantly disqualified, regardless of how cheap the price is. Strictly enforcing this checklist strips the anxiety out of the purchasing process. You turn what used to be a risky gamble into the single smartest financial strategy for buying a smartphone in 2026.